Oh, I'm
What's
live.
going on, everybody? Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. It is Community Beacon, first Friday, January 2025. First Friday in January, first Friday in 2025. We're here. It's uh it's been a momentous one.
It has.
Last year, you know what last someone spoke about last year to me and they said it was like slow and fast at the same time. They said it
I
was
agree.
slow because there was like a lot of change, where they noticed a lot of change. And they said it was fast because before they knew it, it was already December. And I had to agree with them. What about you, bro? What's going on? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, brother. I, I agree it was slow and fast. I believe that it was
Whatever.
slow because there was so many intricate things that I was dealing with. So many things that I had to, how we use the term deep dive into a conversation. So many things that I had to take a pause and only focus on that specific thing because it was so important to my life that I couldn't look at anything else. I had to get what they call laser focused on
Mm,
certain things to the point where some other things had to almost fall off the table or at least not even be thought about. You know how you put something on the back burner, sometimes you got to turn that back burner off because
mhm.
what you're dealing with on the front burner, it takes so much effort that what you got on the back burner will actually burn at a low degree. So you got to actually turn that burner off and
Right.
stop supplying any energy at all to it, just so that you can make sure that what you got on the front burner doesn't burn. So I think that for me, that was the reason why the year was fast and slow. It was because I was so highly focused, I didn't
Hmm.
even recognize the time going by. Didn't even recognize it going by. So it was slow in the fact that I was so highly focused on something, it felt like that never ended. And it was fast that the time was almost slipping by because so many events still were occurring. So it was a beautiful year. I'm very
Right.
grateful for 2024. It was a great year. Lots of lessons, lots learned, lots of benefits, lots of growth. Gosh, I wouldn't do year 2024 over again at all. You knew where I was going with that. I could tell by the look on your face. You knew where I was going. My brother. Hey.
Let me tell
Oh,
you something. The emphasis on the lots said a lot, right? I had a moment like that in regards to, because I was super focused on some things last year as well. And what they say is not true because a watch pot will boil. It will. But then you got to add on to it what's Einstein, time is relative.
time is
So
relative.
just watching the pot may seem like it'll never, it will. I'm gonna tell you what, it's gonna boil, but that's what makes it the slow and the fast at the same time, because you're gonna look up and 5 minutes have went by, but in your mind watching the pot, it seemed like it was a couple months or something. So when you were explaining that, I was thinking, man, I stepped out the car uh yesterday and I said, man, I was doing a lot of traveling last year. And then, I mean, like within the same day kind of deal.
Mm,
And I hadn't done it in a while. And I said, I was doing this 3 to 4 times a week. Like this, this didn't make any sense. But at the time I was doing it because I was so hyper focused. I knew where I needed to get. I know exactly how I needed this thing to happen. It was kind of one of those things where it was like it was at the forefront of my mind, but it wasn't. I didn't allow it to frustrate or bother me, right? But it was just, now looking back, this is the lesson I'm thinking. The lesson learned from that situation was like, Jesus, I don't want to repeat that lesson. I'm glad I got it right. I'm glad I got the lesson right. But man, let me tell you, what's the saying? They said that those who don't learn the lesson are doomed to repeat it.
oh,
I learned it, buddy. So
Yeah, how about that? Say it again, Mike.
yeah, I learned it. I'm
So
making
did
sure I
I.
learned it. Sometimes I go back and look at my notes of the lesson. I'm teaching the lesson. I'm letting everybody know about the lesson. That way not for them. I mean, they're definitely going to get some kind of you know, knowledge from it, or wisdom at this. I have the wisdom, so I'm giving out the knowledge. But it's more so to keep it fresh on my mind to say, one of those things like don't bump your head several times. Like this is a and it's a well worth lesson. And a lot of good came from it though. Especially in regards to learning about myself. So I think that was pretty important.
I love it, man. I love it. You
You're
said,
frozen again. Just to
can you hear my voice?
I can hear your voice, so we could rock like that. I know we were having some
Yeah,
technical difficulties, but I can hear
definitely,
your voice for
definitely.
sure.
I'll step out in just a moment, but and come back in. So I like what you just said right there, and it made me think about something. It made me think about the word reflection. And I know that that's part of our topics that we're covering. A
Hmm.
reflection of the year, celebrating victories and overcoming challenges and whatnot. But you had mentioned something about taking notes about these things, and then you also mentioned, you know, a famous quote, I suppose, about how those that don't learn the lesson are bound to repeat it. And it seems like you did a lot of rehearsing and that and going back and forth with what you were learning at that time. Then you mentioned that you also shared it, you taught it. So, man, the first question that comes to my thought process for the people, for myself, for the world as it may be, or even for our children later on, is like, what does that look like in the eyes of the mind of Michael Seville, the reflecting on what you're learning at the time and point of learning, and how do you offer that to anybody else?
That's an interesting and it's a really really good question. And the brother wasn't here last week. Last week we spoke about reflection, inflection, and progression, and how we use these positive things to propel us forward. Um, and I'll repeat what I spoke about last week because I think it was very very important. If you didn't have a chance to check out the video we did last week or I did last week, um, it 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 speaks to this exact question, which I think is so interesting because sometimes me and the brother like are on the same consciousness, right? Because I know he was busy last week, couldn't make it, but
Yeah, I apologize, everybody. My flight to I ended up going to DR, and it was supposed to land at a certain time. It was delayed. Then the time lag and difference. Before I knew it, Mike had already done the show. Thank you, Mike.
no,
Thank you.
listen, I
Thank you for
the
not leaving
brother
those that are viewing.
the brother was on an international flight, and I said, I don't think the brother knows customs. Like well, not I know he knows customs, but I know how customs can be. So by around 3:30, I said, man, let me just go on and hash this thing out. I did give you about 5 to 10 minutes of grace. You can ask the people.
Thank
If you
you.
go back and listen, if you go
I
back
did.
and
I
watch,
saw it.
oh,
I
I
saw the
did.
5 minute
I was,
countdown.
I put the countdown on, and I said, just in case. But I kind of understand customs. But the reflection part, uh, here's the thing: is that how I go through this thing is like really about really laying these foundations. I think we go through life and we don't have no, we have this foundation for whatever reason. We kind of just don't even think about it. We think as we start to get to new levels is based on everything needs to be anew. What it took for us to get there, what the new level is entailing is that we take everything that we know and we bring it with us. We don't just disregard it because we're at a new level and there's a new place or new whatever it is. We take it with us. All we're doing is we're just adding and we're continuing with what we have as our solid foundation. So when we go into the title of this was like New Year's New Beginning, and that's because we kind of didn't cross hairs and didn't talk about it. But I don't believe in like this new thing, right? It's the same. I'm just using everything it is that I have and I just build upon it. But I need to first make sure that it's solid, it's solidified. The equations are pretty much the same. It's most of the things that we do is just law, right? We just add on to it. So how do I reflect on all of the things that I went through and how do I make it positive? It's just as I'm going through it, I'm knowing that this is the lesson. I'm identifying it. I'm being present at the time saying, you know what, this is the lesson. There's no need to get upset about it. There's no need to look ahead of it. It's this in the moment. What am I supposed to learn? I also think like if I learn, the faster I learn it, the quicker I get up out of it. So it's like, what am I here to learn? What are the basic things? And just Mike being Mike, is it most things are just based on patterns. I just start to look for the patterns, and not only do I inundate myself with what I'm going through, I start to look about everybody else that's going in the space. Right. A couple of months ago, we put together the family court series. We had about 4 or 5 episodes. If you haven't got a chance, go and look at it. And it was really coming from an unbiased position. You know, I went through it, but I still really had to look at it from outside of myself. And what I noticed is that there's just patterns. What was frustrating was like, well, all these this has been going on before me, tens and years, this has been going on for years before me, at least since 1960. 1960, 1970, the laws are the laws. But what I noticed was that it's almost the same thing. It's just a different person. The game I heard it doesn't say the game remains the same, just the names change. So it's the same thing. So I look for these patterns within whatever it is that I'm doing. So that's how I start to reflect on it. Now, when I come up out of it, which is another part of reflection, I kind of spoke about it earlier, was to take my biases out of it, right? Because we can use the same information and we can just start to perpetuate the upset, the anger, the resentment, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of that in the conversation we just spoke about before. There's a lot of this resentment. There's a lot of anger. If you take yourself out of it and you just look at it and start to notice the different patterns, you start to come upon this information quickly. You start more so, brother. We start to learn the lessons a little bit quicker.
Mhm. Definitely agree with that. And I think it's a blessing to actually learn these lessons a little bit quicker, because I find myself being in a position where I don't want to have to learn some of these lessons over again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being honest with you, man. Sometimes it's like, yo, that was good enough the first time. I had this conversation with the pastor the other day, and I was telling him I was speaking with the bishop. I was speaking with Daddy Cunningham, and and he said you reap what you sow. And I told the pastor, I was like, yo, I read this scripture so many times in the book of Galatians, sixth chapter, and I read it so many times. You reap what you sow, you reap what you sow. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But the way that I always read that scripture was about the planting part. When you sow corruption, you reap corruption. But when you sow like peace, when you sow joy, you reap peace, you reap joy. So when I always read it in the mind state, in the mind of positivity, right? So I'm always thinking about, the joys, the peace, sowing all these good things. And I think that's the way that we should be thinking. We should always be thinking in a positive nature. But nonetheless, it does not it does not make us absent to actuality. Like, what about the times when you were not on your best behavior? What about the times when you were not, that cordial individual? What about those times when you snapped off? What about, you reap what you sow? So, like, when it comes down to learning these lessons, sometimes a lesson comes because you needed the lesson, and this is the only way that you were able to learn it. It doesn't mean that God didn't send you the lesson through multiple other means. Like, many times I've found in my life, and I found even over the course of this year, that there were opportunities that came to me, but my mind was not prepared. And I'll never forget the words Daddy Cunningham when he was talking about changing your paradigm. And he said, you have to change your paradigm. He said, many times what will happen is that people, they won't be in the right place and the right space of mind at the same time. He said, you not only have to be in the right place, but you also have to be in the right space. Your mind has to be in the right space so that you're able to receive whatever that is, so that you're able to do whatever that is, so that you're able to go on to that higher level. And I was like, "Woo, man, you talking my language right now." I'm like, that's deep. And I thought about this scripture, Hebrews chapter 6, verse 1, and just a little piece of it. It says, let us go on unto perfection. Now, there's more of it. Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Christ, let us go on unto perfection. And it's like there's still more, but it's like, okay, I get it. I really get it. I get it now. I get it. All right. So it's not about those fundamentals always, but like Mike was saying, it should be layers. At some point in time, we should be going through the layers of life. Like, all right, I've already laid the foundation, the principles. I know the principles. Like, for instance, I just talk about, since I'm on a kind of a spiritual level right now, I'll stay right there. I already know how to say my prayer when I wake up. I already know how to say my prayer when I have grace, when I eat my food. I already know how to say my nighttime prayer. At what point in time do I go into my meditative prayer? At what point in time am I faced with some type of challenge and I go into my eyes are open looking at my challenge face to face prayer? At what point in time do I speak my prayer out loud, but not in the sense of me standing up in front of a congregation and praying, but me as my declarative prayer? At what point in time is my prayer so strong that I can actually feel the evidence of it moving? Like, there's so many different layers to that prayer that, okay, I'm not dealing with now I lay me down to sleep anymore, because now I'm going on. I'm not laying again the foundation. I'm going on. I've layered. I've gotten stronger. I've gotten bolder. I'm more well versed. And I think that that's the key right there. Because when I start to talk about these other little aspects of it, like you're going to reap what you sow, like if you stay in the principle level of the thing, if you stay there and you keep on repeating that same thing over and over again, then you get the same thing. You haven't grown. You're stuck. It's like a tire in the mud. It goes around in circles and the vehicle never travels any distance. Night and day pass you. But when do you get to the next level? Sometimes you have to leave that vehicle behind in order to get a new vehicle. So I love that, and I love the way that you had brought that out. Because there is definitely a paradigm shift that needs to happen in order for us to be able to hit that higher level.
I love it. I love it. I was started smiling because he said, "Now I lay me down to sleep," and that's I've gotten Paul with me for the past week, and we've been going over that prayer as he goes, like, because I remember my mom saying to me as I laid down in the bed, she was like, "Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep." Um, Here's this: the paradigm shift that the bishop spoke about, and for me last year it was counted all as joy.
Ooh,
So
James, Book of
yeah,
James,
so
chapter
it's
one.
just right. So just count it all. I'm just counting it all as joy. So that makes the lessons, as we spoke about earlier, like that makes the lessons a lot easier to to deal with. As we focus on these things, like I'm just counting all as joy because whatever something good is going to come out of this, right? It may maybe it's generations down the line. I don't know, right? But all I do know is as I'm going through it, there's something here that's to be learned. I'm counting it as joy. Sometimes it's spreading it amongst the people. Sometimes it's just knowing and having the clarity within it. Like it's just joy. I'm not the first. This goes back to the patterns. I'm not the first this has happened to. I'm not the last it will probably happen to. So I'm just going to count it all as joy as that I'm able to be exposed and to see all these different things. We go back to what you we spoke about, the law, the foundation. Like there's just some things are just immutable, right? So all we know is that a prayer is going to be involved in it. So we're saying the prayer is happening during the night, like what you said. The prayer is happening during the nighttime, is happening during the daytime. There's probably little, you not little. There are different um intricacies, like different things that happen in regards to these different prayers because I'm praying over food now. So I'm fully aware of this food. I'm present for this food. This is what I'm praying. I'm going to sleep now. This is I'm noticing the bed. I'm noticing, and I'm blessed to have it and having the day had passed before us. When I wake up in the morning, I'm praying that my eyes open. So there's like these little different details within it, but it's all just prayer. So that's the immutable and that's the foundational part is what I'm hearing, and then we just take these things and we just add on to it as we start to grow. So last week, I think last year, I came to realize about actually like living in the word. So living in the word of prayer as opposed to just speaking it. I think, I've been speaking it for a long time, and that's good, right? Like I'm not gonna leave speaking it. And we come on this, we come to Community Beacon every weekend. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna hear something, some kind of something biblical or something coming from the Word. But now taking that same thing, like we're speaking about today, everything that we're hearing today, and then we actually take it and live in it, and we can do that because of this deeper dive, which I don't think a lot of people take the time out to do, like this hour that we have during or however long we do with Community Beacon. Normally it's about an hour or so. It ends up being, iron sharpening iron. Then you tell me some things that I'm just like, maybe, I hear it and I'm just like, but I get a chance to kind of like really go deep into it, right? I get to we get to go to the we don't just get the surface level, which I think a lot of people get. A lot of people get surface level. A lot of people get um you know what's on the front page of the news, and not necessarily going into like what's really going on here. And then we take that and we are better for it. So I think all of these different these things that we do, and we what makes it greater is the consistency of it. Like, so we're consistently doing these different things. Now we consistently know when we need to take a time out, when we because we're going to get back to it because it's in us. We're walking with it. We're being this word. So we know when to take a time out. We know when to prioritize different things. We know we're going to put certain things on the back burner, as you mentioned before, because we need to fully focus on this. Because even through our trials of last year, or our lessons learned, we still ended up on the Community Beacon on a Friday. I, did we, maybe we missed twice. Did we miss? Maybe twice, right? Like, but it was like we still had these things going, and then and while we were focusing on these, whatever monumental things we were going through last year. So I think just the consistency of it is what turns it into this greater thing that we have going on now, brother.
Mm. Yes, sir. I definitely, man, that consistency is huge. That consistency is huge. We've come a long way, and
Yeah,
I'm definitely grateful. I'm grateful for the community that surrounds us. I know a lot of people review these videos after hours. After we've already passed by, and I definitely want to give a shout out to all of you all, and thank you for the comments and the things that you've put
absolutely.
inside of either Mike's, one of his platforms, or my platform. Definitely thank you, and for all of the people that we met along the way. There was the birth of the gathering over the last year, and that constituted the mind process of being here in the Community Beacon, as well as it starts with me. It starts with me as the gathering is an extension of it starts with me, and it's on that level where it's all about the community and bringing brothers together. And so the things that I learned in that were they impressed upon me. um, Being able to speak with those multiple fellas, like I love speaking with you, Mike. And then all of a sudden there was two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, sometimes like nine guys inside of a chat room, and we were talking about some real things.
Yeah.
It's like there are so many things that people had been going through inside of their life, and it came from different corners of the states, in some cases, different corners of the world. And there was some things that were kin to each other, and it was just that was amazing seeing that. And just like I said, reflecting back on some of these triumphs that we have had over this past year, I definitely count it all, as you said, count it all joy. I count it as a blessing. All things work together for good. I
Mhm.
know I felt like you were about to say that, or at least I felt that vibration coming from your body when you were started to talk about that. It's like all things work together for good. So I want to go to a different topic, like the vision for the future. What do you look at as being something that's important, or the importance of having a clear vision or direction for the year? Do you think that that is so important? Because I mean, right now, at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, people are writing down goals. They're setting goals up, and they're I forget what it's called, New Year's resolution. I don't really do
You say you
resolution.
forget what it's called.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not into New Year's
No,
resolution.
but
I'm not into it. So y'all
the gym,
forgive me.
the gym was packed today, and
Uh,
the gym has been packed for the last couple of days, man. These New
yeah.
Year resolutions, and I think it's important, just to speak to that part was it's important for people to to ride the wave of momentum. So if there's a consciousness and there's a momentum and it's heading in a positive direction, so in regards to the gym is for people's health. Hopefully that leads to longevity. I think it's important. So if there's ever a wave to ride, I would imagine if you're on a boat and the wind kicks up, not everybody wants to row. You want to get as much wind as possible into your sails, but we know that for the most part the wind is not going to be there all the time. To help you get to the destination. So at some point in time, you are going to have to row because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, right? So I'm all for everyone else doing a New Year's resolution. You will not hear me deter you from it because it helps push me. Just real quick in the gym. Was it today? What did I do today? I think it was 2 days ago. So what was that? The first. And the guy was on there, and I'm on the bench press and I'm lifting, and I just heard a guy just he was giving it his all. I thought he was actually spotting somebody, but when I turned around, it was actually him moving the weights. But he actually got me pumped up to move the weights. I was like, yeah, like let's go, let's go. So I'm always gonna ride the wave of momentum while it's there. To answer the former part of the question, which was in regards to the vision and the clarity, those are the things that are actually going to get you past the momentum, right? Those are the things that are actually going to get you to uh, get past that, get to that destination. Having vision first. What is that? Where do I want to be? Or what is it that I want to accomplish? And then what's going to help you get to fulfill the vision is the clarity. Like this is now when it comes to me, I'm big on numbers and metrics. Like what are the metrics, what are the how can I efficiently hit this goal? So last week I spoke about just same thing, brother. You're talking about it, was having the vision or the goal, like where, this long term thing that I want to get to, whatever long term means to you. Maybe it's 90 days. Some people it's 100, whatever it is. I suggest, like everyone says, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, that kind of deal. And, in perpetuity, that's that bigger thing that kind of gets you there, inspires you. And then the clarity of it is like, what are the steps that I
Mm.
need to take? What are the easiest, like, what's the next easiest step? What is something that I actually can do? Because how and how long it takes you to get to this vision, or if you continue on it, is really going to be based upon the next step. Like what's the easiest digest is the consistency of it. So if you can have steps that allow you to remain consistent, then that's going to help you to reach the goal. While everything is going this way and that way, it's like, what is the next step? I need to be clear on the steps that I take. How about how does the vision and the clarity fit in for you?
Man, I definitely have to tell you, I like what you're saying. You had me laughing there for a moment because you started talking about the sail and the rowing, and I started to think to myself, man, I like the motor.
Yeah,
You ain't mentioned the motor. I was
I
like, oh man, I like the motor. I like the motor. you know, um, just a little more on that. I think that's kind of. I think one of the neatest things is when I'm seeing some of these guys do like with the wind sail. They are so wise on that wind. They can take the lightest amount of wind and they can turn that sail in such a way that they can drive it. They can drive that wind, and I just think that that is amazing to have that type of skill. And I think that that's really big about momentum is you have to be able to kind of create your own momentum and ride that. And when we don't have that ability to create our own momentum, then I agree. You better jump in somebody else's momentum. Go to a conference, go to an event. We talked about this last year, the year before,
yeah.
but the people that you're around, the events that you attend, they have the ability to spark something inside of you. And just like Mike was saying, he heard somebody else giving his all, and it gave him just that flair, that spark. And then from there, Mike's got plenty of internal momentum. And I mean, I would call that discipline after a while, but he's got plenty inside of himself where it's like, all right, this is what I need to do at this time. I'm going to do it, or, whatever he might think. Mike is Mike. He can think whatever he wants to think. But for me, that's something that helps me a lot of times too, is by like marking these things down. And then, that drives. I've had some times when that drive is hard to produce. It's very hard to produce.
Yeah.
So the vision helps me. It helps me because I can't always go out looking for somebody else to be that encouraging individual. Like I don't have a large circle like that. I have I I have a small circle. It's grown over the years, over the last couple of years with people that align with me, but the circle that I once had, I don't have that anymore because the people weren't growth minded. So I ended up having to start all over with people that wanted to grow, people that wanted to be stronger, be better, to be the best themselves that they could be, people that were willing to put in the work, the time, the effort, the study, the sacrifice. And not necessarily for me. Like, I'm not asking anybody to do something for me. Do it for you. You do it for you. Do it for you. If you're doing that for you, then I want to be around you.
Yeah.
I, I like that. Yeah, I'm not doing this for Mike. I'm doing this for me.
Hmm.
And he's doing what he does for him. And it so happens that he's growing, I'm growing. We connect because we both want to grow. And we both want to grow in somewhere within the same arena. It doesn't have to be exact always, but it's somewhere in the same arena we desire to be stronger and grow. And so that's part of my vision. Part of my vision is the growth into what I believe I am. Woo! And that's to me that's deep because Like for me, I say, I am this. This is exactly what I am. And maybe I don't appear to be that yet, but I am. So what do? I continue to grow until the thing that I feel and see on the inside is what everybody else sees on the outside. But I don't care at the same rate of whether or not people can see it on the outside.
That's a
And
mouthful.
and that's because of clarity, like the right reasons, not doing it because I want other people to see it. Do I care? Yeah, I do care. But I don't care what everybody thinks. Now, I care what Mike thinks, not because I'm going to change simply because Mike says something, but because I value what he stands for. I value him. I care what my mom thinks because I value her. Doesn't mean that when they tell me something that I'm going to automatically jump up and change who I am, but I will think about it because they are part of my circle. And what is the use in having a circle of influence if you won't allow for them to influence you? See, I think that sometimes we get this thing twisted because we start talking about, following people and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is, like, everybody follows somebody at some point in time. Shoot, as a child, you ain't know nothing. You ain't know your hand from your foot. You had to follow somebody to learn how to walk. When you became a kid, a little bit older, you had to see somebody kicking a ball so that you can learn how to kick a ball. So there is a little bit of that, but I like to keep my mind clear and my vision ahead of me. And I like to make sure I'm surrounded by people that have that same type of
Mm.
mindset. You don't always have to be clear. Sometimes you can be foggy. It's okay with me. Sometimes I'm foggy because I'm working through things. But I definitely think that that helps. And I think that these, these disciplines help us to define ourselves, our personality, our characteristics, and it also helps us to forward our forward motion and whatever the desire is, the worthy aspiration that we have set before us. What'd you say, Mike?
I know you spoke about the being your interest, and self-interest is a huge motivator. They're probably one of the top three is self-interest. It's higher than most people would actually. Um, it doesn't sound righteous or people value signal as if we're doing things for certain reasons, but above all, most people do things because they want to do them, and it serves them it serves them in some kind of way. So self-interest is huge. You spoke about people. I think this is huge too. Is the proximity, is being in the proximity to the people that empower you. So if you're around those people and you see these different things happening and the exposure to having it, there was a show that I did. It was called What It Takes, and that was because I
Yes.
was I was around and I still am tend to be around a lot of high powered individuals. And when you look at what it is that they're doing, and here's the thing is I would advise a person not to copy these people,
That's
especially
right.
from the outside looking in, because these people like they really have something else going on, and some of it is not healthy. I'll be the first one to, and I tell it to their face, like I'm saying it online. There's not too much that I don't say to people's face that I would say not otherwise. Uh, there's a lot of things going on, and a lot of us attempting to keep up into it. It'll lead into burnout, and it leads into burnout with them as well, me as well, because I can count myself as part of it because it's just this constant going. It's not even noticing. Someone actually has to point it out. Like you know you're doing this right. Like most most people aren't doing this. Well, I don't want most people's. results. However, these high powered individuals have these things going to what you mentioned, brother, which was growing into this I am feeling, who I know to be, which is the most powerful thing. These people are just being themselves, most of them. Like it's being themselves. Now, how they got there was might have been a
Uh,
lot of might have been a lot of twists and turns. There's certain things that you can't see as to how they got there, but they're there, and for you to mimic them is really going to lead to you're not really.
disaster.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're not going to go. A lot of
Mm,
things are going to start falling at the wayside around you, right? Because this is not you. You're attempting to duplicate something, and you're not really seeing what makes this person tick.
right.
Right. So, but being in proximity to it is like, okay, so that's what it's going to take for me to reach this benchmark. Right.
Mhm.
I'll go, let's stay with the gym. It's easier for everybody to understand. Well, how does this person get to a sub 15%, self 12% by how do we get to see the abs? Yeah, that'll make everybody understands that part. Like what is it what is it that we got to
Break it
do?
down, Mike.
Yeah, what is it that we got to do to see the abs? And so now you really got to think about it's not just going to the gym. I'm gonna tell you what, because I go to the gym almost every day. And when you go to the gym, you see people that you start to see the same people over and over again. And this is for years. I've been at this LA Fitness on North Lake and Congress probably since 2011. You know what I mean? Like
Through
it.
all the shakeup.
Yeah, yeah. No, probably before 2000, probably 2008. I'm gonna say 2007, 2008. I've been at this LA Fitness, and there's people that have been there since I've started going there, and you start to see people who got really in shape. Some people who fell out of shape. Life happens. Things happen to people. We go through things, and sometimes we can't keep it up. I've seen people who have stayed the same. I mean, who have gotten in shape and stayed there, and having conversations with these guys. This guy, there's a person there. This guy keeps like a 8%. But then when you listen to him, be like, okay, so what are you doing to keep 8%? He's like, I don't eat anything but steak, meat and quail eggs and eggs. Like that's what it is. So it's not the hard work that he's putting in the gym that counts for something, maybe 10%, 10 to 15%, but it's really about what he's eating. And most people don't see that part. We just see this guy working out in the gym. So you go in there and say, well, if I kill myself in the gym, I'm going to be able to get these results. No, it also takes this. And then along with what else comes with this 7%, 8% year round? Depression comes with it. People, it's not healthy to be 7, 8% year round. He knows it, and he knows that but what he wants is this body, and it's better for him to have this body than for him to have this other part of it, right? And he knows it. Thank God for him, because then you meet people who are at the gym who have been there since 2010, and they look the same.
Mm.
Some of them have even gotten progressively worse, because as we get older, our metabolism and our body isn't the same. We probably can't work out as hard. I was talking to a guy in the gym. The guy was like that I went to school with, as a matter of fact, today, and we were laughing at it because he's like, "Man, Mike, I still feel like I'm 26, man. I'm still I eat what I want, I do all this." And I was like, "Yeah, but you just complained about your knees. Your knees are 43 years old. They're not 26." So you might as well, you need to go in and get these matter of fact, I might buy it for them. You need to get these knee sleeves that we were just talking about at the beginning of the conversation. Let me remind you about these knees. We just spoke about squatting and feeling these pains in our knees. So as we get up, but really, guy, he's in really good shape. So I'm not shouts out to him. But it's like people remain the same. And I came to a realization a couple years ago. I was like, wait a minute. And these people are working out. Some of them, like they're working out. They're not just staying home, but they look the same, right? So getting back to the analogy of is that's essentially that's how life is. Like we're looking at these people and we're thinking like this is what we have to do because they put it in a book, they put it on a YouTube channel, they sell you a course on it possibly, or whatever it is, a webinar. They're telling you, oh, if you just do this, but then it's like, well, these are some of the things you do, but there's things that you need to be doing consistently, and this is the tedious stuff. Well, My birthday was last week or the week before. My birthday and Christmas was. They asked me what I was doing.
What were
I
you
was
doing?
out. Thanks for asking. I'm glad you asked. Like I was knee deep in this course on AI and IT, like glued in. And I'm getting the text messages. And I'm telling you, if I didn't get the text messages and I wasn't getting the phone calls, and I didn't work out with Chris because we normally go out and we do this workout. Our birthday's on the same day. We do this workout. If I didn't do all of that, I would have not known the difference because I was so into this thing. So now when you see this AI bot that I have dropping this month, you're gonna be like, oh well, all I gotta do is get this AI bot. It's like, well, it took a little bit more than that. It was this courses. It was going back and looking at this video and going back through the videos and going through this stuff and messing with it, guys. If there's one thing you do, side note, this year, put $10 in crypto, something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, something popular, just like the S&P, SMB, these huge companies, put money in Apple, put money in a Tesla, these companies that aren't going away unless America goes away. Put $10 a month into some type of crypto. Like, even if it doesn't hit, right? It's $120. Like, don't eat lunch or something for the day. Something that you would have spent $10 on that you normally do. Starbucks. Don't buy Starbucks one of the days out the week and just take that and put it into your crypto thing. Another thing is get rid of one subscription. I don't care what it is. Maybe it's Netflix. Maybe it's Hulu. Like we got a billion subscriptions. I know you do, brother. I know I do. I know I do. Sometimes I'm like, where do these subscriptions come from? Right? I'm just, one thing I'm not
I did
giving
a
up. I'm not
sweep last year,
gonna.
man. I did a
You
sweep.
got rid of it. Yeah, you
I
got
did
to
a
look.
sweep.
You
Anything
got
that
to.
wasn't, if I wasn't getting it for free through my cell phone or something like that, I cut them off.
Yeah, but if you have a subscription, get rid of it and go get an AI subscription. I don't care if it's Chat GPT. I want to say X. Grok on X is free right now. I know Meta has one. I'm not a really big fan of it. Google has one. I think Claude is free or something. But find you one. Possibly get a subscription. Maybe at right now don't. Maybe don't wait 6 months to get a subscription, 3 to 6 months. But get a subscription to one of these things. These things are not going away.
No.
And it's insane what these things are doing. These AI platforms are doing. Chat GPT is probably the most popular one, right? I would think for most people. So get one of those. Maybe if I would say pay for it. I think Chat GPT is $20. I think Gemini, you can actually get a whole, you can get a bunch of Google stuff for
Sweet.
$20, and yeah, sweet, and it'll include Gemini. So most of us are using a lot of the Google things. So you possibly do that, whatever it is, and just mess around with it. You know, start taking 30 to 45 minutes and just do a deep dive into these different things because it's crazy. And a lot of the things, like at some point in time, me and Joel ain't gonna be speaking. It's just gonna be our AI bots talking to each other while we're on a beach. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be saying what we say,
No.
right? It's gonna be
No.
talking. I'm telling you, listen,
I might be talking to his AI bot, but you
right?
still gonna see the real
Yeah,
Joel.
you're gonna be talking to not a bot. You're gonna be talking to Michael AI, right? The bot may sound a certain kind of way, but I advise you to jump into it because and honestly, Elon talks about consciousness a lot. Um, this is it's going to understand you to where if you go and you pass away, your consciousness. Superman. Remember when Superman used to talk to his father when he went to the place of solitude and he would talk to his dad, but his dad was dead? Like that's essentially what it was. And he would ask his dad these different questions, and his dad would answer him as if he was really there. Like that's the way the consciousness is going to be. It's amazing. I advise you all just to get into it, have different conversations with it. But jump into AI because if you don't, and it's amazing to me how many people I'm coming across on a day to day basis, and they don't even know what these things are that I just spoke about, and seeing what's actually going on and what people are doing with it is is incredible. All right, go ahead.
January 3rd, 2025. You heard it first here on Community Beacon. Michael Seville. I put it out there. There will be a Mike AI,
Oh yeah,
and
there's
you'll
a
be talking with him while he's on the beach.
you we won't be talking. You'll be talking with the AI
You'll be talking with
instead
Mike
of talking.
AI. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Mike
yeah,
AI.
yeah.
You'll
Instead
be
of
talking.
talking to me.
I hope it might be Mike AI on the beach. He might be in a robot form. I don't
Who knows? I'm just telling you.
know.
Download one of these different platforms or applications because this is happening.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
This is absolutely happening. And not only that, but while we're in this stage of it as it is, what it is that you can do for yourself and the understanding. We talk about getting a sense of self and knowing, start asking this AI questions.
Oh
And
yeah, you get some serious answers,
yeah,
man. And let me ask you this, because I see we're coming up on an hour. What do you think is probably some of the most important things for somebody to do in the end of December, early January, as far as it goes for making sure that their vision is pure and they have clarity for the year, in order for them to have long term success?
it's a good question. The brother's been batting off some really good questions today. Just, I think the importance of the reflection. I think the importance of really taking a look. Like a lot of the things that we do is because we don't like it, right? The same thing with the gym. Like everybody's getting into gym because they don't like something about their body or they want to change something. Maybe most of people want to lose weight, get healthy, whatever it is. Well, the most important thing to do is to figure out like where are you? Like there's no need for you to really go to the gym right now. It's good. Or you can walk, right? Like taking these bite-sized steps, taking bite-sized steps. So that'd be number one. But really to gain clarity of where you are, go get your blood work done. Go step on a scale and don't be upset about it. Start counting your calories. I always tell people when people used to talk to me about losing weight or whatever it was, I was like, just don't change anything for now. Only thing I want you to do is go get a my fitness pal or some free um app and just start writing in what you eat. So just for the next week, I'm not changing anything. Maybe I'll go for a 20-minute walk if I feel inclined, but I'm not doing anything that's going to cause, something serious. You get to the gym and you start that the next day you have DOMS, delayed onset muscle syndrome where you're getting all these spasms. Go for a walk, but right now just write down everything it is that you're eating because the losing weight or getting healthy, most of the stuff is what you're putting into your body. Like you can't outwork a bad diet. Like we know that. I tried it. Trust me. Two a days. So figure out what it is exactly am I eating, and then do that for a week. Don't change anything, and then everything else is just these small, consistent steps. Like okay, I'm not gonna eat this bag of chips this week, and so and every week, yeah, as long as you just start taking stuff out of it, you know what I mean? Like little things that you didn't know, and that way it'll last a long time. But if you just go into it like going all heavy, and not like I said once again, if you could ride the wave, ride the wave. But what ends up happening is we end up doing too much too soon. Them 3 days without sugar. I'm not gonna eat sugar for the next 3-4 days. Good luck, right? You're so miserable on that second or third day, your family can't take you no more. Now you got problems elsewhere. Now your husband or your wife looking at you crazy, don't want to be around you, etc. So take into consideration that. Take a look at everything around you. There's another thing. A lot of us have significant others and or family. Like what's the impact this is going to have on my family? A lot of us don't think about that we whether it's the gym or imagine a brother, he's not been working out for a while, all of a sudden he starts working out, his wife start looking at him crazy like, who what you going there for? I'm going with you. I want to see what's going on. Same thing on the woman's side. Women start getting in shape. What you getting in shape for? Why are you hiring this personal trainer? I don't think my wife. If I have a wife, I don't think I'm letting my wife have a personal trainer. Because, anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But what's the impact it's going to have on the people that you love and are around your kids? What's the impact it's going to have on that? And some of that's going to be positively impact. Like, what's the impact of me having a 14-year-old and he's seeing me starting to get in shape? What's going to want him to do? Get in shape. I'm eating better. So Elijah's looking at me like, oh, so yeah, I'm just gonna eat salmon today. So he's watching the same things that you're doing. So you're gonna have the positive impact. You're also gonna have things that you may not necessarily want. So pay attention to those things. I think above all, like really just pay attention and be aware. What about you, bros? Same question.
I mean, I think I like what you said. And I like two things especially that you were talking about. One of them was small bites, and I think there's a lot of power in in the smaller actions. And I think you brought it up earlier today. You've mentioned twice now at least about the ride the wave. And when I thought about it, the second time that you mentioned it right now, I thought about actually riding a wave. And a lot of times when people they get up there to ride that momentum or ride the big wave, if you don't know how to surf, you're going to wipe out. You're going to wipe out. So you just can't jump on every big wave. Every big wave may not be your wave. I guess I should put it that way. So riding the wave may be that you're boogie boarding it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that because somebody doesn't know how to boogie board, right? The message I believe is in the small, consistent habits that are being developed and learning yourself. I think that's really where the rubber meets the road. Because when that happens, I've learned that when it happened with me, like I was one of those guys, I'm gonna jump all in and work out and keep going and going. Next thing uh, I have injuries because I've worked the same muscle group too often, and I've got injuries. I can't go back to the gym, or my nutrition was out of balance, so I'm not seeing the type of results that I want to see, or I hadn't drank enough water, or I hadn't slept enough, I hadn't gotten enough rest, so my muscles didn't have enough time to repair. So there's just so many different things using that same analogy. But now you just take that, you you take that into reading a book or personal development. It's the same type of thing. Plenty of people read books, but they don't remember a thing out of it. So there's something else that must have been happening. So I thought about that and I thought, well, if I were to go and have someone teach me, you mentioned personal trainer, teach me how to ride a wave, they probably wouldn't even start on the water. Probably be just like learning what a surfboard is, learning, understanding how a surfboard works, learning, understanding how the waves move, how the water moves, how you move in the water, how you move out of the water, all these types of things before you actually even get into the water. So I think that these small, like having that vision for the long term success, that goal, far off in the mind. I'm going to ride the big wave in Hawaii, right? Maybe don't set that goal for January the 28th.
You could.
Unless it's January 28th, 2026, right? Because if you've never rode any wave or even a skateboard, which they're not the same thing, a skateboard and a surfboard, you, then you're talking about something that you're going to have to put in so many hours of dedication that it may, like Mike said, you may end up ruining a relationship with your significant other, your children, your job, everything else, just in order to fulfill this. And you still may not be able to fulfill it because, like, I don't really know what it takes. And I think that that is the key component is like taking these small bites is really important because during that time, we should be learning what does it really take. So it's about getting yourself into the environment. If you've never been inside of a gym, you don't really understand the environment. You don't understand how this thing works. You don't understand, how to move from one piece of equipment to the next piece of equipment. There's a lot of little small intricacies in going to a gym that you don't learn until you get there, right? It's a way of life. And so those things are necessary in order for you to be successful inside of a gym. And then there's some things that you need to do outside of the gym in order for you to be successful with your desired results. So I love that. I think that it is definitely about those small bites, if you will, like you said before. And then I think it's a lot about learn about what it is that you desire to do, and don't just hit the surface. Don't just read the cover of the book and say, I read it. You got to go into the book. You got to highlight it. You have to write notes. You have to circle stuff. You have to review it. You have to go back and reread it. You have to write down the thoughts that came to your mind. And I think that when you've done these things and when you're doing these things while you're in the environment of these things happening, you will see them happen in real time. You'll be learning about them, through your studies, and you'll be practicing small movement to get to the place that you want to get to. And I think that clarity will emerge. It'll emerge. And your vision, you'll be able to reach it. Your set goal, you'll be able to reach it probably faster than what you even thought of, because you're applying yourself in all directions to reach and apprehend that thing that you're looking for. So I also think that that is one way to build personal momentum, so that you don't need somebody else's wave. You will begin to create your own wave, a wave that other people will want to ride. So that's my closing words.
Amen. Amen. Guys, love you. It's 2025. January 20th, 2025 is right around the corner. That's going to be um, interesting, and I'm excited about that as well. So listen, man, make this a great year. I'm sure last year was great for most of us. If we really looked at it, I know it was for me, and so to make this year just even better. Just keep getting better. Keep getting better. All right, guys. Community Beacon. We'll see you next week.
All
Peace.
right.